spoke Zarathustra, getting into the main text, coming to you from France, the Land area, Hossegor, going into the three metamorphoses, on the three metamorphoses of the spirit. This is a shorter video, 18 minutes, and the footage you're seeing is from New Jersey 2023, after my own metamorphosis from my plant-based fitness journey, or I'm deeper into the plant-based fitness journey. The video you saw before was in Chile, where I was a little pudgier and a little slower. And I think what you'll notice is that the surfing here is a lot better. I'm paddling out with a person that I've mentored for a couple of years, Farmada Dion. What's up, Farms? And west winds, pretty good size swell, higher tide in the morning. Didn't have like the most incredible session here in the morning. You'll see some incredible waves, but I think what you want to stay tuned for is the end of the video. The backside surfing is just far and above the other backside surfing that I have been doing. So you want to compare that to the ones with the Chile footage and the surfing in New Jersey from like 2018, 2019. And I think that you will see a radical difference. I see a radical difference in my approach, and I hope you guys can see it too. So while we're just looking at white waters and offshore winds throwing spray up everywhere, let's jump into the text. Of the three metamorphoses of the spirit, I tell you, how the spirit becomes a camel, and the camel a lion, and the lion finally a child, okay? So this is the order in which the spirit grows and changes. Camel, lion, child. What a lot of people who misinterpret Nietzsche get wrong is they get stuck on the lion part. For me, this is the Nazi interpretation. For me, this is the interpretation that I could see people like Trump and Pete Hegseth falling upon. They might skip the camel part, if I'm being honest with you, and just go straight to the lion, that beast of prey, this idea of dominance and mastery. And it's wrapped up in all kinds of notions of masculinity that, in my view, are extraordinarily misplaced, misinterpreted, and have disastrous consequences when people like this come into power. And also, they unfortunately use philosophers like Nietzsche to seem deep, philosophically rigorous, and grounded when all they're doing is displaying pseudo-mastery. All right, here we go. There is much difficult for the spirit, the strong, reverent spirit that would bear much. But the difficult and the most difficult are what its strength demands. This part is also important for me, this concept of like what constitutes a strong spirit and who Nietzsche and Zarathustra are talking to. The life of taking on a spiritual journey, while we might want it to be for everyone, we might want everybody to spiritually grow and become who they are and transcend themselves, it isn't for everyone. Right? Not everybody is going to go into the desert or go on this. Everybody is on a spiritual journey, but not every spirit, not every life is destined for this kind of journey. And there's a way in which that's okay. Those of us on that journey do wish it for everyone, but the reality is it's not everyone's cup of tea. So let's also orient ourselves back to the text, where Zarathustra is now talking to fellow creators and breakers of values. He is looking for companions at this point. He's no longer speaking to the masses and to the crowd. What is difficult? Asks the spirit that would bear much, and kneels down like a camel, wanting to be well loaded. What is most difficult, O heroes? Asks the spirit that would bear much, that I may take it upon myself and exult in my strength. Is it not humbling oneself to wound one's haughtiness? Letting one's folly shine to mock one's wisdom. So this part of the spiritual journey is where you're taking on tons and tons of burdens. This could be even the first part of like any Christian person's spiritual journey, and Nietzsche is post-Christian, even though the text screams, I'm Christian. He can't get out of his cultural milieu. That's just not possible. So this concept is that you feel yourself to be strong, and so the first part of your spiritual journey is to see like how low you can debase yourself. What kinds of self-effacing activities can you do to prove to yourself that you're strong? Also, this is one of the oldest themes in all of philosophy. It shows up in Plato, as I often sign my Dr. Dion Surf Secrets newsletter that you should be subscribing to. $25 a month, transform your surfing. Link will be below. Kalepa ta kala shows up in Plato's Republic. It means difficult things are beautiful. This also shows up in Spinoza. I'm gonna butcher the Latin, so let's just go with the translation. Difficult things are as beautiful as they are rare, right? So those of us who love doing hard things, those of us who find beauty and joy in trying things like surfing that are super hard, and it's their difficulty that gives us the joy. It gives us the possibility for overcoming. And that's what makes the difficult so beautiful. And that is a theme, you see it in Stoic philosophy. There is no philosophy, not even Epicureanism, which is misinterpreted, that is like the easy way is the best way. There's no philosophy that says that. It's always the hard way is the best way. There are ways, there's a hard way that's too hard that stops you from overcoming, and knowing the difference between the hard way that is productive and the hard way that is not productive is a big deal. Or is it this? Remember, the first part of the journey, becoming the camel, parting from our cause when it triumphs, climbing high mountains to tempt the tempter. Or is it this? Feeding on the acorns and grass of knowledge, and for the sake of truth, suffering hunger in one's soul. Or is it this? Being sick and sending home the comforters and making friends with the deaf who never hear what you want. Or is it this? Stepping into filthy waters when they are the waters of truth, and not repulsing cold frogs and hot toads. Just a note, cold frogs and hot toads, that's kind of a sick name for a band. Anybody out there looking for a band name? Cold frogs and hot toads, there you go. Or is it this? Loving those who despise us and offering a hand to the ghost that would frighten us. Social media haters, all you people reposting my stuff with misinterpretations on Instagram, that one is for you. I love you, even though you despise me. I don't despise you, and I will offer a discount to the people you teach the two-stage pop-up to learn the one stage. So just hit me up, you people. All these most difficult things, the spirit that would bear much takes upon itself, like the camel that burdened speeds into the desert. Thus the spirit speeds into its desert. In the loneliest desert, however, the second metamorphosis occurs. Here the spirit becomes a lion who would conquer his freedom and be master in his own desert. Here he seeks out his last master. He wants to fight him and his last god. For ultimate victory, he wants to fight with the great dragon. Okay, so if we put this in terms of Zarathustra's spiritual journey, the classic spiritual journey, the camel part, when you're taking on the burden and debasing yourself, is when you go up to the mountain, when you become a hermit, when you go away from all of society and do away with the niceties and bear the burden, the very Christ-like Christian burden of taking on the troubles and worries of the world into your own soul, like the camel. But you go for a transformation. You go through a transformation when you do that, when you go away and you take this time on your own. And Zarathustra's done this. The part of becoming lion is where he's up on the mountain and realizing that he needs to now go down and share these truths. He needs to no longer just bear them, but transform them. And here we have a martial metaphor and a classic dragon slaying metaphor. You have to go slay dragons. The lion is the dragon slayer. And this is the one that I argue hyper masculinizations of Nietzsche's text. And they are there for the taking. And it's definitely a part in which he is most criticizable, is for the fact that like he just can't not be in a masculine mindset. Oh, and note, here I am pulling into tubes. So we're in the last half of the video, and anybody into backside tube riding, you'll want to take notes on this part of my approach. I'm riding a 6.6, and I'm able to get into waves pretty early here, and still struggle to make it out of them, but I'm getting into them, and that is the first most important part in your tube riding metamorphoses. Who is the great dragon whom the spirit will no longer call Lord and God? Thou shalt is the name of the great dragon. But the spirit of the lion says, I will. Thou shalt lies in his way, sparkling like gold, an animal covered with scales, and on every scale shines a golden thou shalt. Okay, so what's the difference between thou shalt and I will? Thou shalt are the existing values, the ways that you compromise and conform to whatever your society is telling you you ought to do. I will is saying those values are not serving me and they're not serving other people, right? So for me, in the surfing space, the idea, the existing value that standing is the end all be all to surf education is a thou shalt stand on your first lesson. To that dragon, I say no. Thou shalt get it with ease is something to which I say no. Surfing is easy is something to which I say no. I will say that you can learn the ocean, and it will take time, and we can become surfers, and people can enter into surfing at any time that they want to in their lifespan. But the way to start is not with pop-ups. The way to start is with understanding the ocean, reading the ocean, learning to paddle, learning to understand how you enter waves. You will understand that, and I will teach how to understand that. But I will not bow down to the thou shalt pop-up first. Values, thousands of years old, shine on these scales. And thus speaks the midnight of all dragons, the mightiest of all dragons. All value of all things shines on me. All value has long been created, and I am all created value. Verily there shall be no more I will. Thus speaks the dragon. My brothers, why is there a need in the spirit for the lion? Why is not the beast of burden, which renounces and is reverent, enough? Okay, why do we have to slay this dragon? Why can't we just obey him? Why can't we just conform and go along with the things in the best way possible to put on Christ in that way that we're told to? Okay, why is that not enough? Why must we vanquish that? To create new values that even the lion cannot do. But the creation of freedom for oneself, for new creation, that is within the power of the lion. The creation of freedom for oneself and a sacred no, even to duty. For that, my brothers, the lion is needed to assume the right to new values. That is the most terrifying assumption for a reverent spirit that would bear much. Verily, to him it is praying, and a matter for a beast of prey. So pray like beast of prey, not like on your knees and praying. He once loved thou shalt as most sacred. Now he must find illusion and caprice, even in the most sacred, that freedom from his love may become his prey. The lion is needed for such prey. But say, my brothers, what can the child do that even the lion could not? Why must the preying lion still become a child? The child is innocence and forgetting, a new beginning, a game, a self-propelled wheel, a first movement, a sacred yes. For the game of creation, my brothers, a sacred yes is needed. The spirit now wills his own will. and he who had been lost to the world now conquers his own world. Of the 3 metamorphoses of the spirit I have told you, how the spirit became a camel, and the camel a lion, and the lion finally a child. With perfect timing to the one tube that I did make this session. Here we go, pulling in. Behind it, can't see me, and wait. Oh, I made it out, and that felt so good. Felt so good. Okay, so now with the let's talk about the lion and the child. People miss this child part when they interpret Nietzsche as saying to just crush everything and have it your way and have a strong will. And the notion of freedom that he's after is really different than a kind of libertarian absolute freedom. It's not that kind of freedom. I want to stress that I believe the kind of freedom that Nietzsche is talking about, let's read the words here. Freedom from his love may become his prey. To create new values that even the lion cannot do, but the creation of freedom for oneself for new creation. So it's this contextualized kind of freedom that you get away from all of those societal norms that are telling you what you ought to do and seeing self-overcoming as complying to those norms in the best and most disciplined way possible, the way of the camel, which is a part of the first metamorphoses. The first metamorphosis of the spirit, taking on these burdens and then saying, no, that's not the way. These things are hurting me and they're hurting other people, and I need to take on this symbol of the lion, of this beast of prey that can vanquish those things to create the space to then become a child. So you don't stay a beast of prey. It's a part in a metamorphosis. It's a change. It's a phase. You don't live there. So when we're talking about the necessity of political violence, for example, there might be a kind of violence that is necessary, right? Hopefully just symbolic. I would like it to be just symbolic, but not actual in the sense that we really need to do physical harm and really slay dragons that are, let's say, other people or other tribes of people to create the freedom that we need. That's not what it is. And the ultimate goal is to become a child, to learn how to play. And that's what you're on this channel for. That's what my coaching is about. That's why we learn to love the ocean, is because we are learning to become children again and forever in the ocean. And that's what I want to help people to do. And that's the work that's why I like Nietzsche. The concept of this is all a game and we are playing, and there are better and worse ways to play this game. And I want to help you play this game too. And if this speaks to you, write a comment. Remember to subscribe to Dr. Dion Surf Secrets. And I'm going to see you next time when we talk about the teachers of virtue. It should be a pretty fascinating one, and I'll probably double down on the naysayers that have been giving me headaches.